a replay. So stand by, and we're gonna moment of silence, and then we're gonna jump in. Why, hello there, and welcome to this very special webinar broadcast. This is Daniel Hall, and I am very pleased that you've decided to invest your time in today's very, very important training. And I say it's an important training primarily because I have made some assumptions about you, and those assumptions are essentially that you want and are very serious about making your book a stellar success. And not only that, but really use it as a way to build a massive platform of raving fans of you that could sustain your authorship journey from here to for as long as you wish to write. And that's one of the things we're going to definitely chat about today. So I do want to let you know that we will be covering some really broad and easy to understand topics. And you might feel somewhat tempted to maybe tune out a little bit. But I'm here to tell you that we are actually going to, along with some of these big topics, we're also going to be revealing some really important nuances and subtleties. And if you have been in business any period of time, you probably already figured out that the thing is that the results that you want, the success that you want, are often in the subtleties and the nuances, and they're really easy to miss if you are not paying attention. So if you'd go ahead and turn off anything that might distract you right now, that being your phone, your social media that might ping or ding at you, or your email client, just turn all of that off and be ready to take copious notes. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Daniel Hall. I'm an author, speaker, consultant, coach, lawyer, nurse, and the creator of the popular Real Fast brand of training products. I'm also the host of the realfastresults.com podcast. And along with my very good friend and business partner, Amy Collins, we really here to show you how to bring and go to the next level with your book sales. I am essentially just the MC here today. The true star of the show is Amy Collins. And for those of you that don't know Amy, she has been called by Writer's Digest the, like capital V, book marketing expert in the US. In fact, she also has a column in the Popular Book Designer blog, and she's also on the advisory board of directors at Ingram Spark, the POD publisher. In addition to that, and importantly from where you're sitting, she has actually helped to sell over 40 million books, okay, in her tenure in this industry. And that has included literally dozens and dozens of bestsellers. And I'm not talking here about Amazon bestsellers. I'm talking about USA Today bestsellers. I'm talking about Wall Street Journal bestsellers. I'm talking about New York Times bestsellers. I'm talking about regional bestsellers as well. That's Amy. She's literally helped thousands and thousands of authors to do this. And the really cool thing from where I'm sitting is she does this with indie authors, with small press authors as well. In fact, one of the things that she does is she helps folks just like you and me to get into the big box stores, the Costco's, the Barnes and Nobles, and many, many, many of our clients have done exactly that. So if you want to learn what it takes to actually go from being a talented author to a financially successful author, you are in the right place. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, Amy. Thank you so much for being here. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel, and thanks for hosting me today. I appreciate it. I know that you and your staff are going to be monitoring the questions and kind of keeping an eye on things. But guys, I'm going to do the same thing. I will keep my eyes on the chat box and the question box, but I ask that if you have a specific question for me, you make sure you go to the question box. If I've got to teach you guys everything I know and drink my Diet Coke because it's late at night here and answer questions, I can only juggle 3 balls at once. So there we are. Let's talk a little bit about why you guys are giving me the next hour or so of your time. What are we doing here today? You are about to listen and hear. This is my first day of teaching this class. Daniel and I and our business partner, John from Bestseller Builders, the 3 of us have really been digging in and paying attention to what is working right now. There's a number of things that used to work that don't work anymore. So what we did was we put this list together of specific steps that we would suggest you take and you plan for. Today, we're here to walk through we've got a minimum of 12 things that we know will work, and we're going to help you map them out and plan them out. So to start, the things that we're going to focus on today are things that will allow you to both write and connect with readers. I know a lot of you want to just focus on your writing, but it is possible with an organized plan and with a focus to be able to do both, to write your next book, work on your existing book, and connect with readers and grow your platform. There are very specific things that we're going to want you to take because we know from the stuff we're doing right now, that the things we talk about can and will dramatically increase your sales. It's all about growing your platform. It's about growing your sales. And that it's one of the things you've heard me say over and over again. And I know this is not the first time. I see that Rich is on the line and we've got a couple in Tammy. And I know you guys have heard me say this before. It is possible to become a successful, well-known, well-loved author without sacrificing your integrity, without having to do things that make you uncomfortable. Stepping out of your comfort zone is not the same thing as doing something that makes you uncomfortable. And we'll talk a little bit about the difference in that over the next hour. I'm not talking about things where you don't stretch yourself, but there are things that we can all agree are not a good idea, and I will never ask you to do those. And the big focus and the reason why we're here is we have to put a plan together. When we're done an hour from now, you will have a month-by-month, step-by-step plan. Just join with me, ask questions as they come up, throw them into the question box. I will try and answer them if I see them, but any question I don't get to during this session, you have my promise. I'm going to stay till the bitter end. I have plenty of Diet Coke, and I will stay here as late as I need to answer your questions. I'm not going anywhere. So if that's cool with you guys, and if that's why you're here, if you would like to actually put together a calendar, a plan, that's what we're going to cover today. A number of you, I gave this course a little earlier today at about 2 o'clock, about 5 hours ago. And several people had questions about how to do the things I'm talking about. I'm afraid that's another webinar. That's not what we're covering today. But today I'm going to give you the ideas. I'm going to tell you what will work and how to plan them out. And then after that, we will go through how to actually execute, but that's another session. So is that good with you guys? Are we all on board to put together our plan and our calendar right now? Do you have a pen and paper, or do you have some way to take notes? Are we ready to go? All right, that's wonderful, fantastic. So let's talk about the very first thing I want you to plan. I would like you, before the month of October is up, you'll see here it says step 1, October. Who are your readers? It is very, very important that we identify and actually create a solid understanding, and not just in our heads. We need to write it down. We need to create a solid understanding of who our readers are. I'm talking major specifics. I don't mean people who say just kind of roughly, well, they're women 40 to 80 who, breathe. No, we're going to get extremely focused. And the way to get focused, if we're going to spend October figuring out exactly who our readers are, we need to start with the understanding that we are not our readership. It is terribly tempting for us all to believe that our readers are just like us, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. When we want to figure out who our readership is, we often say to ourselves, gender, age, and income. We'll often say, a man who is 65 years old and makes 80 grand a year. And why do a lot of authors say that? 9 times out of 10, it's because they're men who are 65 years old who make about $80,000 a year. We're all prone to it, guys. There's no shame in it. But I would ask you to shake off the idea that your readers and you are the same person, because you have dozens and dozens and dozens of types of readers out there. And I want you in the month of October to come to understand exactly who those readers are. I've got a sheet here that I use, and I would love it if you would like to take a little snippet of it. I've got no problem with you guys taking a screenshot of this, or even using your phone to take a picture. But when I work with my clients and we map out who our readers are, we create at least a half a dozen people. Is this person, is our reader a male or a female? Exactly how old are they? Not an age range. I don't want to know that they're a female whose age is 30 to 50. I want to know that this is a woman who is 36 years old, who is married. I want to know how many kids she has. Does she have a job? How far did she get in her education? Does she live in the city? Does she live in the country? Does she live in the suburbs? What country does she live in? Does she own or rent? How much is her mortgage? Does she have a mortgage? How much is her rent? What's her income? Does she have a lot of debt? What kind of debt? Are her parents alive? Does she come from a big or a small family? Does she have a lot of friends? What marriage is she on? If she's 34, 36 years old, she might be on her second marriage. Does she have kids from a previous marriage? Does she have pets? What kind of pets? Does she like them, or does she have them because her kids want them? Are they pets that came with the marriage and she's actually not crazy about them? Guys, I need you to get really detailed, really detailed. I want to know her religion. I want to know if she adopted. I want to know everything about her political leanings. And now, before you say, well, how can I know that? You can't. But what you can do is you can start with some research. And that's what the month of October is going to be about. What I want you to do, and you'll get a lot of answers when we get to the next step, but what I want you to do is to put in your calendar, in your plan, that you're going to create a series of reader profiles so that you know how to reach out and who reads your books and whom you can reach out to when you can. So that is the first step. That is how I want you to spend your time in October. And then in November, I want you to find your genre leaders. Now, finding your genre leaders and the authors and the publishers and the people who publish deeply and successfully into your genre is going to allow you to build your reader profile. Because the more you know about the successful books, the successful authors, and the successful publishers that are publishing books that appeal to the same readers that you're looking for, the more you're going to know about these readers. So the next step, the next thing I want you to put on your calendar is I want you to dig into who your genre leaders are. And the way to do that very simply is to start by listing 12 books that your readers have on their shelves right now. 12 books, whatever kind of book you have. Now, for those of you who are listening, I know Mary Alice and I see Tammy and, oh, Mike, how are you? Would somebody, may I have a volunteer? Would you guys go into the question box and type for me what kind of book you have? Is it a sci-fi book? Is it a nonfiction advice book? Is it a book about how to keep your pets alive? What do we got here? Tell me what kind of books or book you're working on right now. Tammy, I knew that. You're working on a sweet Christmas romance. Tanya's got a historical fiction. Michael's got a thriller. Mary Alice has got a nonfiction book. It's a World War II veteran interview history book. All right, so let's look at this. Doug's got a book about magical realism as a topic, a crime series from Joe. So if you've got a particular book, then I'm going to ask you guys, who are the top authors and the top publishers in the sweet Christian romance world right now? Who who are the authors that had all of their books turned into Hallmark Christmas movies last year? Who are the authors who are the number or in the top 10 in historical fiction? Who are the top thriller authors? Who are the publishers that publish the most aggressively into YA fantasy or into sci-fi? Who's the best at picture books? Depending on the type of picture book, it might be Chronicle, it could be Workman. There's a really good chance it's Taschen up in New England, depending on, so who are the big publishers? Who are the big authors? And the way to find that out is very, very simple. Start with a book that appeals to the same sort of reader that you think would want your book. So if you've written, and I've got an example here, if you've written a memoir, if you've gotten a divorce, or if you've had a heartbreak and you've written a book on how to survive it or how to get past it, and it's a prescriptive, nonfiction, inspirational memoir, there's a really good chance that you know that the people who read Eat, Pray, Love, or even Wild, they might be interested in your book. Here's the problem with Eat, Pray, Love, and Wild. Those are two very old books. They're like 12, 15 years old, but tons of people have read them. So it's a good start. There's no harm in that. For any of you who have just given me your topic, I bet you can think of one or two books that are on the bedside tables and are currently sitting on the Kindles and are being read by your potential readers. You have to, if you're writing in historical fiction, you have to know who the big historical fiction authors are. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm all right with that. But what I'm going to suggest to you is if you don't know who the top authors are in your genre, may I suggest that you start at Amazon.com, go to the bestsellers section. See, I'm circling it right there in a bright red button for you guys. Go to the bestsellers section and find your category and find out who the bestsellers are. Because for those of you who have written a memoir or an inspirational book, if you go to Amazon or to Barnes & Noble or Chapters Indigo or W.H. Smith or even your local library, you will find out that the big book these last several months for people who want to inspire and write a memoir is called Big Magic. That's the big book everyone's focusing on now. But so often we're so fixated about what's on our bookshelves from 10 years ago, we're not paying attention to what's selling right now. So may I suggest that you start, it's a real simple thing, to find out who the genre killers are, the people who are absolutely the best in your genre. Start at Amazon. I don't want you to finish there, but it's a great place to start. In November, if you can create a list of at least 12 books and 12 authors, 12 different authors that are just killing it in your genre, then you're ready for step 3. And you can also do this in November because you guys can see, I hope you can see, I'm literally giving you the month by month breakdown. And some of these things you can do 2 or 3 of them in 1 month. This is one of them. After you find the best selling authors and the best selling books in your genre, I want you to go to places like the USA Today bestseller list every Thursday. And I want you to, when I say I want you to go there every Thursday, I mean without exception. I want you to put on your calendar every Thursday that you're going to go to the USA Today bestseller list. And you're going to every Sunday go to the New York Times bestselling list. And every week you're going to go to the Amazon bestselling list. And you're going to keep up on who the bestsellers are in your genre. It's not enough to just do this once. You have to dig. If you're going to participate and really want to be successful in the picture book market or in the romance market, if you want to sell your Christmas romance to the Hallmark Channel, if you want to get published, and if you want your crime series to be picked up by Macmillan and just and blasted everywhere, then what I want is for you to know that you guys are going to take the time to educate yourself about who is leading your community. The authors that are in the USA Today bestseller list, the authors that are on the Amazon bestseller list, they are the leaders of your community. And I want you to be aware of who they are. And I want you to connect with them. Once you have these author names and once you update this list every week, I want you reaching out. I want you reading their blogs, subscribe to their blogs, comment on their blogs, join Goodreads, get into the discussions, talk to some of their readers, answer questions. If you've written a vampire novel and there's all these discussions going online about different books that have been written by some of your favorite authors, or even authors you've never heard of, but the discussions are interesting and you can participate and you can add to the conversation, for heaven's sakes, I want you doing that. In the month of November, I want you connecting with the authors online, maybe even more than connecting online. Yes, you can share things that they have done or that they've shared that you find appealing. But again, subscribing to their newsletters. These are the sorts of things that a successful author does, because they are not, if we're lucky, they're not treating their fellow authors like the competition. I've got a client whom I adore, and he said to me when we first started working together that he didn't know who the other authors were in his genre. He didn't read his genre because he was only interested in his own take on this particular topic. It was a nonfiction author, and he didn't want to muddy the waters by reading anyone else's take on this particular, it's a legal issue, political nonfiction book, which is an interesting position to take. And I'm not going to argue with it artistically, but once the book is written, I will argue with you all day long that you're part of a community. And if you do not join in that community, you're going to make it very hard on yourself, folks. I mean, very hard on yourself. And you know, I'm looking here, and Mary's written a book about how to find missing money. Really niche-y topic, Mary, but I love it. I mean, that's the kind of book that could do really well, because for those of you who have heard me to say this before, I know you've heard me talk about this. The more narrow your topic, the better your chances are of selling a lot of copies. That is a very narrow topic. But Mary, I can think of 3 authors right now, including Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Susie Orman, and there's tons of people. Their books are nothing like yours. I get it. I get that Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman are not in any way, shape, or form a good comparison to you, or in their books are not a good comparison to your book. But is there any chance that the people who are interested in learning and interested in reclaiming and getting every golden ounce out of the world that they can, that they may have actually read other personal finance books? I don't know. I haven't read your book. So, apparently I completely nailed it, because Susie Orman invited Mary on her show. Well, isn't that awesome? So there you go, guys. I don't even know Mary, but now I want to. Guys, so pay attention to your community. Susie Orman invited Mary onto her show. If you're connecting with other authors, heaven knows the sorts of invitations you might get, and that's what we're looking for. But if you avoid them, if you don't connect with them, then you're not going to get the invitations. You're not going to get the same opportunities. So in November, I want you to find who all the authors are in your community, and I want you to connect with them. And then comes December. December, I want you to start making friends with your potential readers. Even if your book is not out yet, you still have potential readers. All of these authors you've connected with, hopefully at this point, it's dozens and dozens of them, they've got readers. And you know who these readers are because you can find them on Goodreads. You know who's following them on Pinterest. If you're a nonfiction author, there's a really good chance that all the authors you know and love have tons of followers on LinkedIn. And you can pay attention to who these readers are and start interacting with them on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Join in discussions, even discussions that happen on Amazon, Kindle, and there's a number of things out there that will allow you to connect with your potential readers. And your potential readers at this point could be anywhere, but heaven knows who they are and what they might be able to do for you. Let's say you ended up connecting with a huge fan of Diana Gabaldon, and you've written a fantasy time travel Scottish Highland book that is nothing at all like Outlander, but it would definitely appeal to the same reader. And you find out that there's, a whole group of people talking about the Outlander television series that is showing up, I think, on Showtime. And you're just participating. You're being friendly. You're not pushing your book. You're just joining in the conversation. You're connecting with your potential readers. After a while, these people are going to come to know you, to like you, to trust you. So when your book is announced, they're going to want to help you. And what if one or two of those people, or one of the people that's been sitting in on that discussion group, is one of the people from Showtime? What if the agent for Diana Gabaldon pokes in on her Facebook page twice a day just to see who's doing what? Guys, this is not a far-fetched scenario. It happens all the time to my authors. Agents will reach out to people that they see who have a very strong, warm, welcoming tone online. If you can show the world that you know how to act, you know how to behave, you know how to connect online, that's gold in this community. And I don't want you losing out on that. So for those of you who are saying, I don't have the time or interest in social media, okay, well, you better come up with another plan then, because it's kind of like people who say, well, I want to go to Hawaii, but I'm no interest in flying. Okay, you can take a boat, but it's going to take you a lot more time and a lot more money. So social media, in essence, is the same thing as getting on a plane. It's a necessary evil, but if you want to get there, I'm afraid you need to get on the plane, guys. So that is step 4, and that is how I want you to spend December. You know what else I want you to do in December? I want you to fix your website. Now, before I move on, and I'm right now, we've now done 4 sessions, 4 steps, where we talked about discovering your readers, figuring out who they are, finding your fellow authors, your community, connecting with your fellow authors, reaching out to your readers. It's a whole theme. We're about to move on to something more to the more technical and design stuff. Before I do, are there any questions, guys? Does this make sense? Do you guys agree with me or disagree with me that connecting with people, and it doesn't have to be online, but do you agree with me that however you choose to do it, that connecting with your community and with your readers is easily the most important first couple of steps you have to take? Have I done my job? Have I convinced you how important this is? Because if I've not done that, if you still think this is total BS, I will go back. All right. Okay. So far, people aren't hate. Then I will. I have not heard the word. I've not seen BS yet, so I'm good with that. All right. So let's move on to how else you can spend December. Fixing up your website. The number one thing that I see that authors need more than anything is help with their websites. Websites are so important, and so many authors, they absolutely shortchange themselves and the potential of their sales by totally short sheeting their website. I have created, if it's cool with you, now this is just an overview. It is by no means exhaustive, but I have created what I share with my authors as a series of website elements that I think most authors should have on their website. And the things that I believe that most authors should have on their website is to start with contact information. You need an email address, a phone address. If you've got any other businesses or websites, they need to be on there. Your calendar, how people can find you. Don't make it hard on people, folks. Don't put a form up unless your name is Diana Gabaldon. And Diana, if you're listening, this does not apply to you. But the rest of you guys, put your email and phone number on your website. Please, for the love of heaven, you're not that famous. And if you don't want to put your personal number up, I don't. My personal number's not on my website. Get a Google number, get a Skype number. They're very inexpensive, but have a way for people to get a hold of you. Putting a form up on your website is pretty much the same thing as putting mousetraps in front of all of your doors. It's not a welcoming message. You're not so important and so hard to reach that if the press or an agent or somebody wants to reach you, they're not going to fill. In many cases, I know tons of people who, when they come to a form on a website, they say, never mind. They want to click on an email address. You need to have information about yourself on your website. You got to have your bio, high-res headshot. If your book's already out, you need your covers, and they need to be downloadable so that the press can use them if they want and reprint them. You need a list of all your media hits, all the places you've spoken, all the places you're going to be, sample interview questions. If you're selling your books and if your books are being sold through a distributor or a publishing company, you need information about your publishing company and your distribution models. Make sure that libraries and bookstores and corporations and organizations and J.C. Penney's, I don't care, make sure that somebody, if they want to order your book, that they can click on something and find out exactly how to do so. Once you've worked out about your book and once you put the information about your book, all throughout your website, I want to see testimonials, reviews, endorsements, praise. I want praise for you everywhere. Do not be shy about the lovely things that people have said about you, because people want to see that. It makes them feel better to know that the book that they're considering has actually been approved and lauded by other people. Creating a website is the easiest thing that you can do nowadays. And creating a bad website that actually does more harm than good is almost as easy. I am asking you to take the time and make sure you put these elements on your website. Not every author is going to need every single one of these elements, but all authors will need most of these, and most authors will need all of these. So if that's the case, I would ask you to take a screenshot of this and move ahead, because websites are super important. Bird is saying, hey, Bird, how are you? Good to see you again. Bird is saying that in his experience, no, Bird may be a woman. I am so sorry. Bird is saying that in their experience, it doesn't matter what Bird is, that they would suggest that you go with an email on your website that is only used for emails on that website. Don't use it anywhere else, because Bird can guarantee you, based on their experience, that you will be spammed. And within a month, your email will have hundreds of emails from spammers. Now, that's true. My email's on my website, and I don't have to wade through thousands of spammers because I've got a really aggressive spam blocking program. So yes, that's true. But in this day and age with junk mail filters and spam filters, I like this advice, and I think you should go for that. If you're going to put an email address on your website, make sure it's an email address that you don't use anywhere else. But so that's great advice, and I thank you for that. I'm going to add that to my class. I know I've probably mentioned this to you guys before, but this is actually the first day I've taught this particular session. You guys are my second guinea pigs of the day, and you're doing beautifully. So if you have any questions or if I can help in any way, please throw them into the Q&A box the way Bird just did. That was a huge help. All right, let's see. Hey, Bird, yeah, way to go. Sorry about that. Ellie, hey, Ellie, how are you? Good to see you from the Midwest. How many pages are a good number for a website? There's no solid answer to that. Ellie has written a memoir, a gorgeous memoir, a thick memoir. And Ellie, for a book like yours, for a memoir, you definitely need a homepage that has a link to a page about your book, and the page about your book should have, you know, the cover and a synopsis and all of the reviews you've gotten, and a place for people to buy it from, and a place for bookstores and libraries to order it from, and your publisher information. You need a page about you with a bio and a headshot and a list of media hits and all that. And your about the author can also include all of the stuff the media is going to need. A downloadable Word document that they can cut and paste your bio. A list of your press releases, all your video and audio clips if you've done any public speaking. If you have a blog, and Ellie, I don't believe you do, or you did, I'm trying to remember, I'm sorry, your blog should be on there. Appearances and events can also go under your About the Author page. So it depends. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to do it, but in your case, I'd say 3 or 4 pages would suffice you beautifully. I want to give you guys an even simpler website checklist. I gave you a lot of information on that overview, but here are the 3 things that if your website includes nothing else, it needs to include this. I want your website to include some sort of offer or enticement so that you can get an email address. We're going to talk about email addresses a little further on in the session. They have to have your contact information and your social media info. Make it easy for them to connect with you. both now with an email or a phone number, but also have your Facebook logo, have them click on it and take it right to your Facebook page. Make it easy for them to connect with you on Twitter or Pinterest, or to follow you, or to friend you, or to connect with you on LinkedIn. Put them all there. And the third thing, and this is incredibly important if you're an author, make sure that you've got all of your book information and all the offers for your book on your website. I cannot tell you the number of websites I've seen where the authors get really excited about their expertise or about their writing, and they forget to put buttons that help people order the book. The whole purpose is to get people to buy your book. So make sure you've got buttons so that people can buy your book from their local independent bookstore, from Barnes & Noble, from Chapters Indigo, from Amazon. If they're in the UK, make sure you've got a link to WH Smith or to Waterstones. Make sure that if they're a wholesaler, that they know how to get a hold of you to order your books. If they're a retailer or a library, what wholesalers are you working with? This is key information that your website has to have. All right, let's see what else we've got. We're about to get to step 6, but before we do, let's see if I have any questions here. Rich is saying that when you have multiple books, do you need a separate website for each one? Oh, no. Rich, you just need one website, your website, richsteinhoff.com, or whatever your website is. But you do need a separate page for each book, because each book you got to be able to give them the cover as a high-res download. You're going to want a PDF of a sample chapter, perhaps, offers. You're going to want each of your books to have its own page. Yeah, let's see. See if there's any other. Oh, look at me. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. My apologies. I'm trying to click on these questions for you. Yes. Okay. We're going to get out of the nitty gritty, because as I promised you guys at the beginning, I can't get into the minutia of how to do each of these things, but this is all about planning. So what I'm begging you guys to do in the month of December is to learn everything you need to do and spiff up your website. Make it gorgeous. Make it usable. And that's how I want you to spend the rest of December. Because January's coming, my friends, and in January, it is time to focus on gorgeous materials, sales sheets, about the author sheets, marketing plans, wonderful little pins that you can create for Pinterest, and Instagram posts. And what are you going to do to create highly visual materials? I want you to spend the month of January working on this, or hiring someone to do it for you. It used to be, and at the beginning of this hour, I told you guys that there are things that I used to recommend that no longer work. Here's one of those things. 2 or 3 years ago, I told you that it was perfectly acceptable to send a bookstore or a library a book sales sheet, or an about the author sheet, or a marketing plan that was written up in a Word document. Those days are over. There is so much competition now, and people are so used to being inundated, but also they're very impressed by pretty things. We're human. We love attractive things. So if you can create an attractive, eye-catching piece of material that talks about you as an author, such as Anna Vocino did here, you are going to be just head and shoulders above your competition that's still using Word documents. There are websites such as canva.com and BookBrush. There's tons of mock-ups. There are tons of sites where you can go for either free or very inexpensively to start designing these sheets. And I would suggest that in the month of January, that's exactly what you should do. And I want you to spend the first half of January creating gorgeous materials, absolutely gorgeous materials. All right. Because the second half of January, it's time to focus on creating an email plan. You really need to put an email plan together. There's MailPro, there's MailJet, MailChimp, MailerLite, ConvertKit, Aweber. Aweber's a little intense. You better really know what you're doing with Aweber if you want to get into that one. But creating an email plan and actually working it is such a fantastic way to spend the second half of January. It allows you to connect with followers on email in a way that is the only way that you guys truly own. If you want to engage in a conversation and truly connect with your readers, I love that you're doing it on Facebook. I love that you're doing it on Twitter. But those conversations and that relationship does not belong to you. The whole thing belongs to Facebook or Twitter or whomever is hosting the site. But when you have someone's email and when you can send them an email once a week or once a month or however you do it, you own that relationship. I have thousands of people who follow me on Twitter and even more who follow me on Instagram. And I run this page. It's a private page. If you guys ever want to join it, it's a personal page. It's called Snarky Sunday. And once on Sundays every week, I post a whole bunch of memes and things I found over the week that I found funny. None of them are appropriate. They're completely awful, but I think they're funny. So I connect with people on social media all the time. But my email list, that I own, that is gold. That is mine. And I have about 9,000 people, a little over 9,000 people, who have asked to be on my email list over the last 7 or 8 years. These are people who asked to be on my list. I don't just put them on. I know the rules. I was raised right. I was raised in New England. I'm polite. But these people asked to be on my email list. And once a week, I send them a list of news articles. Not mine. I send them news articles that I have found over the previous week that I found helpful and educational or funny or in some way inspiring. And what I do is I collect these articles, these blogs, these tidbits over the week, and I send them out to my list once a week. You will notice, those of you who subscribe to my newsletter, I never, ever sell anything in my newsletter. I never talk about my book. I have several books, guys. You never hear me talking about them. There is a small ad on the side that if you want to hire me or talk to me, go ahead. But these newsletters are 100% geared towards giving great value and wonderful story. And most of them are not mine. 99% of the info that I send out has nothing to do with me. They're all by people I admire. Jane Friedman and Orna Ross and Robin Cutler. And someone mentioned earlier today about Joanna Penn. Absolutely. Annie Allen. Oh, I'm such a huge fan of hers. Nathan Bradford. What I do is I take these articles and I share them once a week. Why wouldn't you do that? People over the last few years have flocked to my list because they want this newsletter. And then twice a month, no more than twice a month, I will also send somebody out an email about a free class like this one. So now I'm offering them a free class. And then twice a month, I sell them something. I send them an email and say, hey, you want to be in my library mailing? You want me to do a video for you, a book trailer? Guys, I don't know if you've done the math, but that means that for every 8 emails I send, only 2 of them I'm selling something. And that is the ratio. That's how I do an email plan. I want you guys to put that same plan together for yourself in January. All right. So let's see what's next. Next is step 8. We're doing really well. We're 45 minutes into the class and we're already 75% of the way through. I love this. This is going so beautifully. It's like I planned it that way. Step 8. I want you to spend February putting a plan together to create a review request program. I don't mean you're going to spend February trying to get reviews. Oh, no. What I mean is you're going to spend February figuring out how you're going to spend the rest of your life asking for reviews. Successful authors ask for endorsements, testimonials, reviews every day of the life of their book. They are asking for, Stephen King's people and Anne Lamott's people and Chris Bohalian's folks are asking for reviews every day. And they will continue. And if New York Times bestselling authors still are trying to get reviews, my question to you is, how many people this week have you asked to review your book? How many bloggers have you investigated who write reviews for books just like yours? And how many of those bloggers did you contact and email or somehow get a hold of and ask them if they would like to review your book? Unless the answer is 7, because you should be doing at least 1 a day, then I'm going to suggest that in February, you really buckle down and put a plan together. because a review request plan needs to be part of your daily practice. You need to take your vitamin C. You need to get at least 7 hours of sleep. You need to do deep breathing exercises, and you need to ask for reviews. These are the basics, my friends. Getting reviews, it is the lifeblood of books. And whether or not you actually have reviews for your book right now doesn't matter, even if your book is a few years old. Christy Sarduarte, a client of mine from Bestseller Builders from last year, one of the first clients that we got a year and a half ago, she had wonderful reviews on Amazon and in Goodreads. And even though her book was well over a year old, we went after and she got tons of reviews. Now, this Kirkus review she got, this was not a paid review. This was an honest to goodness Kirkus review. So reviewers like Midwest Book Review, Booklist, Publishers Weekly, these are the ones you may have heard of. And you may say, well, nobody will review my book. Well, that's not true, because Christy's book was self-published and Kirkus reviewed her book. Ronald Barrick, his book was self-published. He published this book himself under Goose House Press. It's his own book. He published it himself, and he started going after reviews, and he got lots of them. If you looked up this book on Amazon right now, he has hundreds of reviews on Amazon between this book and the sequel. And when he first got started, he had maybe a dozen reviews. I don't know how many of you guys have hundreds of reviews on Amazon, but I'm guessing not many of you, because most people give up. They stop asking. Ron did not give up. Ron went after reviews like crazy. Now, Ron is a former client of mine, and we did a lot of work with him. But before he got those reviews going on Amazon and Goodreads and all the places where they are now, he started advertising his book. And what was happening is we were paying a lot of money for the ads. People would click on his Amazon page, but they wouldn't buy the book. And it's because they got to his Amazon page or his Barnes & Noble page or his Chapters Indigo page, and they saw that there weren't many reviews. Now, the reviews that were there were stunning, all 5 stars. People loved his book, but there was only 12 or so there. Nobody trusted a book with only 12 reviews. So he took a step back and put a plan together, like I'm suggesting you do. I want you guys to research and to figure out how to get more reviews. Now, I can't teach a class on that here, so don't ask. I'm sorry, I'd love to help. But you can spend February learning how. You can figure it out. Come to me, I'll help you with that part offline when I'm not teaching this class here. But if we're putting a plan together for how to fix things for 2020, and if you're not asking for reviews from all of the book bloggers and the book sections in newspapers, if you're not asking for reviews from readers and from experts, if you're not asking for reviews from other authors, if you're connecting with other authors in your genre, maybe they would write a testimonial or a review for you. You need to ask every day. If you don't ask, you won't get. Nobody is going to just spontaneously generate a testimonial or an endorsement for you. Well, I don't want to say no one will. Occasionally I get them. I will occasionally get lovely notes in my inbox. But can you imagine how many more lovely notes I would get if I asked one person a day what they thought? This is what I want for you. And that's what you have to spend February doing. Because when Ron was done getting a couple hundred reviews and then he advertised his book on Bookbub and Amazon, he sold over 3,000 copies of his ebook in one day. He had done a Bookbub ad a couple of months prior. He had sold maybe, I think it was 78. He sold 78 books. But when he had the reviews, he sold over 3,000 books. And the only difference, my friends, was that he had a lot more reviews. And that's what I want for you. All right, let me see if there's any questions before we move on. Let's see. Okay, now Barbara, and those of you who are asking about how to get reviews, I'm sorry, I would love to cover that, and maybe I can in the Q&A at the end. I absolutely will circle back to that at the end, but I can't stop right now. Oh, Mary, this is fantastic. Let's see. Mary's saying the problem with Amazon is if people haven't spent at least $50 on Amazon, they can't put a review. That's true, because Amazon's not interested in people writing reviews if they're not Amazon customers. Amazon is quickly moving to make sure that every review that happens for every book on Amazon is a review that happens because somebody bought the book and then decided they wanted to write a review. Amazon is not interested in hosting orchestrated reviews. And that's absolutely true. And that has changed over the years. But Amazon has always required that you purchase the book. I don't mean to say always, but for at least the last 10 years, you needed to be an Amazon customer to write an Amazon review. That's true. All right. How are we going to spend March? All right. March of the Penguins, March 2020. Once your website is up, once you've got gorgeous materials and you've got a picture of yourself and your materials are golden and your website is golden and you've started getting some reviews and you know your industry and every week you're checking to see who the hot new authors are and you're getting in there and you're connecting with them and you're becoming part of the community and you are truly becoming an author among authors, then it is time to reach out to the press. Podcasters, radio producers, bloggers, newspaper editors, magazine freelancers. Ooh, golden, love my magazine freelancers. And reaching out to them and suggesting that they interview you or that they let you co-write an article with them on a particular topic or that they review your book. But reaching out to the press happens after you do those other things. We are breaking down for you step by step what to do in what order. And I am suggesting that after you do the first 8 things, then you are ready to reach out to the press. How much time do people spend reaching out to the press every day? I spend 15 to 20 minutes a day reaching out to bloggers or different newspapers or newsletters and asking if perhaps they'd like me to write an article, or if there's something I can do to be of service to them. I spend 5 to 10 minutes a day asking people for a review or a testimonial or an endorsement. So there you go. There's 20, 25 minutes right there just to get those things done. That is part of my daily practice. Now, for those of you who say, well, that, this is all going to add up. It's going to take me hours every day. Yeah, it is, I'm afraid. And I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you that this is something that you could just dash off in 8 minutes a day, but you can't. You really can't. If you want to become a successful author, you are taking on a job, in many cases a full-time job, but at least a part-time job. And most part-time jobs require that you work a couple hours a day. And that's what I'm suggesting for you right now. That if you reach out right now to the press, you will have far more success than if you wait for the press to reach out to you. So I want you to spend time in March focusing on what you're going to ask of the press and how you're going to be of service to them, what you want from them and what you can offer them. And don't worry if you're self-published. Don't worry if you're not even published yet. I have lots of clients most of my clients are self-published or not published yet. Anna Vocino, who, by the way, she may be listening to this session right now. She has her launch this week, and I am so proud of her. But her book, Eat Happy 2, just came out this week. And here's the thing about Anna. Anna is self-published. Anna's book just came out this week. But last week, it was 2 weeks ago, actually, it was featured in Women's Day magazine. Women's Day magazine as one of the 4 books and there's only 4 books that they were recommending that week. And it wasn't just cookbooks, it was all books. A self-published author whose book wasn't even out yet got listed in Women's Day. That happened only because we asked. We found someone who knew someone who had connections at Women's Day. Anna's a client of mine, and we got it done. Women's Day did not stroll through Amazon, stumble across Anna's potential cookbook, and then Google like crazy until they were able to get a hold of me and ask me if I knew Anna Vocino. That's not how it worked. Guys, we have to do the outreach. So I want you to spend time in March figuring out how you're going to reach out to the press, because it's incredibly important. And gone are the days where self-published books or where hybrid published books or co-published books were no longer welcome into the media. Most books now are welcome in the media as long as they're well done. And speaking of well done, it's not just print. Television, radio, podcasts. There is something so powerful about being on the radio, being on television, being on these podcasts, because a lot of these podcasters and a lot of these producers, they're looking for content. And yes, like this Roku television, Daniel Hall told me, he was the one who hooked me up with Book Lovers TV on Roku. And one of the things that I was gobsmacked once I started getting my authors pitched and getting them into Roku television on Book Lovers TV. One of the things that surprised me is that my authors are sitting cheek to jowl with Maya Angelou and with Margaret Atwood and with some of the people, I mean, some of the biggest names in our industry. That celebrity association that simply happened because I was able to get them onto a video cast that then eventually showed up on Roku TV, Book Lovers TV. And it happened because I asked. That's how I want you to spend March. All right, let's see if there's any questions before I move on to April. Let's see. Yes, Bird, that's true. Yes, you can put editorial reviews. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions. You guys are so smart. You guys really seem to know your stuff. Try to coordinate your media pitches with special months. That's true. Mary is giving great advice. She's saying, for example, April is Financial Literacy Month. So she registered National Find Your Missing Money Day, April 16th, the day after your taxes are due. Mary, that's freaking brilliant. Do you want to come on? You should be teaching this class. That is gold. Folks, if you spend March digging into and creating your media plan, then you can be Googling national months, national weeks, national days like Mary did. I'm here to tell you that July 27th every year is National Take Your Houseplant to Work Day. Go ahead and Google it. I'm not making that up. Now, how do I know that July 27th is National Take Your Houseplant to Work Day? Because it's my birthday and I was Googling it. I was being silly one day. But it turns out that there's a National Take Your Houseplant to Work Day. So you can get really creative with this stuff. Mary, absolutely true. Brilliant. Next step. It's in the month of April. Once you get your media output and your plan going and you're up and running and you're spending 10, 15, 20 minutes a day getting your pitches out, then it's time to figure out advertising. This is going to take you the entire month of April. I'm not going to try and cram other things into April for you. I wouldn't be that mean. This is a big deal because what you're going to be looking at is a whole huge learning curve. If you do not know what Bookbub is a featured listing program, very competitive. Only about 10, 15% of the people who apply ever get in. And many people, including my own authors. Now, my authors, we get in about half the time. We get in about 50% of the time, but it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 passes to get in. So once you figure out the Bookbub ads, once you do these sorts of things, I wanted to just point out that a small ad budget can make the difference between getting on a bestseller list and not getting on a bestseller list. Paula Munir, who came out with The Borrowing of Bones, has been a very well-known, well-regarded, gorgeous industry icon of a writer for 20 years in the publishing industry. She is the go-to woman. She has been writing books forever. She's never hit some of the lists the way she has with this book, Borrowing of Bones. And it all was because of advertising. This is a wonderful book. She got a wonderful deal. She's got a fantastic publisher. All that's true. But when she got a Bookbub promotion, and when it was supported by Facebook ads and Instagram ads and the Bookbub listing, and when we really put a plan together, the way I want you to put a plan together in April, and don't worry, we'll help you figure out how to do it. That's April's problem. She went from a successful, well-regarded author to a USA Today best-selling author. She rocketed onto the bestseller list in a way that she'd never done before. And it was the only difference, just like when I was talking about Ron Barrick and the difference between him selling 73 copies and 3,000 copies. The difference is that we put some gasoline behind it. We poured gasoline on the fire with advertisements, with reviews. And that's what Paula did with us. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to spend April figuring out ads, not just print ads, not just Bookbub ads, not just Amazon ads, but also keep in mind, there's so much going on with video right now. And it is super easy. I want to show you, this is going to take 15 seconds of your life. I want to show you a video that we just created. Daniel and I and John have a new book that just came out this week. And we did a very short video. I want to show you what 15 seconds and just a few dollars can do, because this ad has gotten us so many sales, and only because it's moving. We do ads all the time. I was flabbergasted. For those of you who are afraid you lost audio, you didn't lose audio. I just wanted you to watch the video. I'm back. But that ad that I just showed you, that was just a quick video we created. And I put that up on Instagram. I put it up on Facebook. I put it up on YouTube. And I put small amounts of money behind it. I advertise it. I boost it. I say, anyone who follows Jane Friedman on Facebook or on Instagram, I want them to see this video. And I run an ad. Anyone who loves, Joel Friedlander on Twitter, I want them to see this video. And I run an ad. I go to Amazon and I say, anyone who's ever bought a book by Dan Poynter, I want them to see my book. If you spend a little bit of time in the month of April learning how to use this author community and previously successful books to advertise against, for, and to, you will have the same sort of successes that I want for you. We do not, here in this office, we run ads all the time. We're not satisfied until we're making at least 3 times the amount of money that we're spending. In many cases, we want to make 4 or 5 times, but we will not rest until we're making at least 3 times. And the results that we have shown, I'm here to tell you, it is possible to work with ads. Now, there are categories that are really tough. I have tried poetry and romance and women's fiction every way to Sunday, and those 3 categories kill me. We do not come anywhere near the 3-to-1 ratio when it comes to women's fiction or when it comes to romance. It's so difficult. But thriller novels, oh my gosh, thriller novels, I can make money all day long, and so can you. I want you to spend April focusing on learning on how to do ads. And once the ads are in place, and once everything is ready to go on your website and your materials and everything is golden and you've got reviews and you've got press plan going, and now it's May. Yay, yay, the 1st of May, the merry month of May. Then it's time to focus on promotions. And you're like, well, what are promotions? Promotions are things outside of the marketplace. Things like gift catalogs. Maybe you want to speak at an event. Maybe you want to be featured at a particular conference. Maybe you want to focus your book and start offering bulk discounts to different organizations, different corporations. Promote your book through different indie and industry magazines like Book Life. There are tons of things you can do to promote your book. There are book clubs. There are readers clubs. There are librarians who host online and in-person book discussion groups. There are baskets. JCPenney puts Mother's Day baskets together. Whatever it is that comes to mind, I want you to spend the month of May coming up with a list of possible promotions. Is there a corporation or an organization or a nonprofit that you want to be able to sell your book to for a reason? Mara Pearl, who wrote this unbelievably sweet series that is all based on this theme of the heart. I mean, she's just, M-A-R-A, Mara Pearl, P-U-R-L. She's a wonderful writer. And her books, they're romance, they're women's fiction romance books. She ended up partnering with the American Heart Association because her books all come from this whole theme about, you know, healing the heart and lightening the heart. And there's all these wonderful heart themed books. She partnered with the American Heart Association. Who would have thought of that? You know who's going to think of that? You are. In May 2020, once you've got all this other stuff worked out, I want you to sit down and come up with all the different conferences that you want to speak at. I want you to come up with all the different organizations you want to sell to, the catalogs you want to be in. This is how I want you to spend the month of May. Because then in June, you get to do what everyone wants to start with. Everyone I speak to wants to be in airport stores and Barnes and Noble, and their book comes out on a Tuesday and they don't understand why they're not in Walmart by Thursday. You know why? Because you got to do these other things first. You need reviews, endorsements, testimonials. You need the community and the support of your fellow authors. You need the community and the support of readers, thousands of readers. You need sales. You need hundreds of reviews. You need bloggers. You need newspapers. You need radio shows and podcasters. You need video. You need ads. It all has to happen first. And once those things are all in place and clicking along, then it's time to pitch your book to bookstores, to libraries, to supermarkets, to airport stores, to the major chains like Target or Costco. Then it's time. And just as I said before about my other clients, it has nothing to do with you being self-published. When a self-published author walks into a bookstore and hears the book buyer say, I'm sorry, we don't take print-on-demand books, or we don't take self-published books, that is not true. You are absolutely not being told the truth. What that person is saying is, I don't want to take your book. You have not convinced me that your book is worth my time and my money. Because there are self-published and print-on-demand books in every bookstore and every library within the sound of my voice, all over the planet. I do not know of a single bookstore in North America or a single library that doesn't have a print-on-demand book in it or a self-published book. It does not exist. Those bookstores, of course, they have these books. But you got to put a plan together. You have to build the foundation. Tons of my clients, all of my clients, were either self-published or hybrid published at one point. A few of them now are traditionally published, but they get into bookstores, they get into airport stores, and I want that for you as well. All right, let's see what other questions we have. I do not see any other questions, so I'm going to keep going. There's a lot of you have been asking questions, and I believe I've been hitting them up as we've gone through. But those are the 12 steps, as it were. For those of you who know me, you know how funny it is that I accidentally came up with 12 steps. It was just a mistake, but what a lovely coincidence. But the 12 steps, the things that I want you to do that will allow you to plan out and have a much more successful 2020, a much more successful 2020. And if indeed, because it's almost, it's getting a little late here on the East Coast, but I want to keep answering your questions, especially those of you who are asking about reviews. I will circle back. I will answer those questions happily. But I do have a question for you. Does this plan and these steps, as I laid them out, did they make sense? This is only the second time I've taught this class, guys, so I need to know. Did I break this down for you into bite-sized steps in a way that you now see that you can do this? And are you willing to? As I said, not every author has to do everything, but most authors have to do all of this, and all authors have to do most of this. All right. So it does make sense. Okay. Michael's asking, what was step 12? Michael, step 12 was pitching to the stores and libraries, the Barnes and Nobles of the world, the Costco's, the libraries, but getting into the retail marketplace. For those of you who are interested, and I am going to go back and answer every single question, but I do have something I just wanted to mention to you, that for those of you who are a little overwhelmed right now, I'm not talking to Bird or to Mary, because clearly Bird and Mary absolutely have this handled. Trust me. Wow, so impressed. And maybe a lot of the rest of you do too. Maybe this is something you think you can do on your own and you've got the time, and I love that. But if you'd like our help, if you would like me to help you with your plan, with your program, and actually do these things for you, go find your authors for you, go find your readers, reach out to the press, reach out, get the reviews for you, get everything set up, do your website for you, get all this handled. We do that here. The Bestseller Builders program that John and Daniel and I have been running now for a couple of years was designed to take a lot of this off you. We have a huge team of people here. People like Carrie and Connor and Anna and Adriana and Luana. I mean, me. I mean, there's a bunch of us here. We work together to create an entire program so that you don't have to do it all on your own. So it's not just you. Doing all this every day is absolutely possible. I want to be clear. If I didn't think it was possible, I wouldn't be sitting here at 8:15 at night on a Wednesday. I got other things to do. This is totally within your ballpark. You can do this. But if you want help, if you don't want to do this on your own, and you know that working with a team, with someone like me who knows the reviewers, who knows the buyers, who can actually kind of move things along and grease the wheels, you can actually build your own team by working with us. You can do a lot of these things with my help, or you can let us do these things for you. All authors need a team. And if they don't have a team, that means they're doing it themselves. You need to be your advertising person. You need to be your public relations department. You need to be your sales and distribution company. You need to handle all of your social media, be a social media expert. Who's going to do your administration and all of the clerical work? Who's going to do your customer service? Promotions, marketing. Who's going to handle that? What about all the questions you have about publishing? What if you don't know what a PCIP code is, or whether or not your barcode should have the price embedded in it? And what was Barnes & Noble going to say if your barcode doesn't have the price in it? You don't have to worry about these questions. Art and video, getting all those wonderful materials together. I think that was step 6. I said you had to have great materials. And then when step 9, when we were talking about advertising, and I said, videos help and Pinterest pins and the like. Who's going to help you with this? It costs a lot of money to hire people to do these things for you. When I would hire people one-on-one and I would outsource, or I would hire contractors to do this for me, it cost me over $13,000 a month just to work with a talented team. Well, that's ridiculous. Who's got that kind of money? It's not sustainable. So we've created a program here where we do your web page analysis, we do your email building, the tool setup, we build your entire infrastructure, including your YouTube channels. We get all your videos done. We do it for you. We handle all your advertising. We handle all your Amazon advertising. We optimize it. We completely maximize the sales on Amazon. We work for the reviewers. We put it all together. We get you into conferences like Marianne here, who got into the Miami Book Fair. There were tons of things that had to happen for that to work. We will go after professional book reviewers, blogger reviewers, all those magazines and newspaper people I was telling you about, the radio show producers, the podcasters. If you don't want to do that yourself, we will do it for you. It's important that you get a good return on your investment, and we're aware of that. So we want you to have all of these things in place before then. The last step is just like I said to you guys, the last step, we'll pitch you to the chain stores, the independent stores, the libraries. We'll get you into the catalogs. We'll go after the corporate sales. We can do all of that for you. There is a website that you can go to, and it doesn't cost a thing. It's just going to take 3 minutes of your time with a couple of questions that I want you to answer. I would love it if you would go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply. I'm going to put that up on the screen in a second. But if you go and you actually type in the name of your book, your name, your contact information, give me a little bit of information about you. Let me take a look at you. Let me take a look at your social media platform. Maybe I can help you grow it. Maybe I can be your press person, your salesperson, your distribution expert. We can handle your marketing, your social media, your customer service, all of your publishing entries. We want to do all of that. So please go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply and give me a little bit of information about you and your book. It doesn't cost anything to apply. There's no obligation. But what it does when you go and you apply and you answer these questions is it gives you a better idea of who we are, and it gives me a chance to get a better idea of who you are. I would love to see who you are online. I'd love to take a look at your book. I would love to be able to put together, maybe we just have a brief chat. You know, we get on the phone together next week. We have a quick talk. We talk a little bit about how we might be of help. I would love it. If you're going to do this on your own, which as I said, I know you can do this on your own. I'm not saying you can't. But if you're going to do this on your own, then you need to be aware that it's going to take a huge learning curve to do the market research, because we can do that for you, but you can do it for yourself. But one of the things that we can do that you can't do for yourself is we can make all the right introductions. When I say maybe you want to, present your book to Publishers Weekly for a review, we can help you do that. When we talk about the Kirkus Discoveries Review and how you shouldn't pay for a Kirkus review, but how do you get your book in to be submitted to be considered for a Kirkus review if you don't pay? We know how to do that. So we can do that for you. Very, very few people can cover the marketing and the publicity and the sales and the distribution. We've got, our team is huge. We can grow your readership and your fan base, and it lasts for years. We've got a 6-month program that I would love to tell you about. And again, if you go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply and tell us a little bit about you, we will take a few minutes to really evaluate your potential and the potential of your book, the marketability of your book. I'll be honest with you, whether or not I feel your book even has the potential of making you a best-selling author, because that is the secret for us. It's not all about whether or not we can do it for you, but does your book have the potential? And I'd love an opportunity to give you my feedback on whether or not your book has what it takes. I'd love to look at your website. I'd love to look at your social media presence and see where I can help. Go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply while I'm answering everyone's questions, because I will be answering the questions right now. We're getting to that. So before we move on, because I do have a few more things I want to say, let me see what questions have popped up while I've been chatting. All right. Let me put my old lady glasses on. All right. The step makes sense. I'm just making sure I haven't missed any questions. Bird is asking about the name of the site. It's right on the screen, Bird. Bestsellerbuilders.com/apply. Bird is saying the screen locked on her on bestseller. I don't know what that means, Bird. I'm sorry. But I'm sure it'll free up in a second. I promise. Let's see if there's any other questions. Barbara, I don't want you getting overwhelmed or exhausted, for heaven's sakes. I want just a little bit at a time. That's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. That's why we're going to break it down to these 12 steps. Mike, libraries are the same. They fit into the same steps as step 12, maybe step 11. You have to get the first 10 steps out of the way, honestly, before you really start hitting the libraries hard. All right. Let's see what other questions I may have missed. Mike is asking, does it matter if reviews are from critics or regular readers? Mike, you need both. It's important to have over 100 reader reviews online. You can be Goodreads, it can be Barnes & Noble, it can be Chapters Indigo, it can be Amazon, but I never stop asking for my clients. My clients have hundreds of reviews across the sites. And even if their book is 2 years old, I'm still asking people to write reviews, and I'm still encouraging for reviews. But those are reader reviews. I also, every day, am reaching out to bloggers and book reviewers and top reviewers to see if they will review my clients' books. We need both kinds. And there's always a good reviewer out there ready to talk about a book. Now, if your book is 7 years old, that's another story. The book has to be a year old, maybe 2 years old for the reviewers to seriously consider it in the professional market. But readers will write a review for a book that's 10 years old. All right. Let's see what questions I've missed. What about when you have many things to write about? How do you choose which one to write on? Doctor, this question, do you mean to write articles and blogs and guest posts? Well, it's fantastic if you have many things to write about. I have many things to write about. I can write an article about the libraries. I can write an article about finding your readers. I can write an article about how important it is not to drink Diet Coke at 8:15 at night because you're talking way too fast, Amy. But writing these articles, all the ideas you have, that's wonderful, because you can pitch one idea a day to a different person, and you're going to need all of that content. Now, if you're asking how to decide what to write your book on, I am sorry, I'm afraid I don't have any expertise in that. But I'm, talk to an agent or an editor who I'm sure can help you focus it. But if you have a lot of topics to discuss that you can connect to your book, you're in wonderful shape. And I hear from a number of my novelist and fiction clients, I hear them say all the time, I'm a novelist, I'm a fiction writer, I'm not an expert in anything, I can't write any articles. Well, that is just not true. Stina Holmes, New York Times bestselling novelist, fantastic fiction writer. She writes tons of articles about the travel world. And you know why? Because she writes romance novels that take place across the globe. And some of these places she's been, some of these places she's researched, but she's managed to turn herself into quite the travel expert, and it all started with her being a fiction novelist. There are other authors out there like Mara Pearl, who writes, a whole series of books based on this small town on the coast, and she's written tons of articles about writing. There are so many things that you guys can write about, even if you're novelists. You are an expert. If you're a children's book author, then perhaps you can write a couple of articles about noticing things, awareness, how to talk to children, there's so many articles, but don't limit yourself if you're not a nonfiction author. All right, Let's see if there's any questions I missed. Mary, let's see. Allie, I see your thing there. I don't think I've missed any questions. It looks like I've hit them all. If I've missed any, please cut and paste them or retype them in the bottom, because I am looking and it looks like I have hit all of your questions. Now let me arrow down to the bottom to see if more showed up. Leela's saying she can't show her personal phone number, so what should she do? Okay, well, that makes sense. You can get extremely inexpensively. I think my Skype number costs me $30 a year. I believe that's how much it costs me. You can get a Skype number. You can get a Google number for even less. There are tons of ways that just Google this, go online, get a Google number, get a Skype number, and just have an answering service. There's wonderful answering services up in Canada where you can leave a phone number, and if you want, they'll even answer the phone for you. You don't have to use your personal number. All right, I believe that's all the questions so far, although I'm not going anywhere. I'll happily answer others. I want to remind you that the bestsellerbuilders.com/apply, this program that we're offering, is limited and it is exclusive. We only allow 10 people in at a time. It is not an inexpensive program, but it's a program I'd love to find out if you're a good fit for. We review everyone, and if you're invited into the Bestseller Builders program, it does cost a couple of $1,000s a month. But I still want you to apply to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply, because it may be that we might be a good fit for you. It may be we're not, but you don't know unless you ask. And that's what I've been trying to impart with you this whole last 90 minutes. If you don't ask, you don't know what opportunities are available. You have an opportunity today to get one-on-one with me, and I wouldn't skip that if I were you. If you go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply, I will review your book before I go home tonight. Here it is. I'm telling you, go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply. Apply right now. Tell me about you and your book, even if the book isn't out. and I will take a look at everything tonight. I will email you and get in touch before the end of the week. By Friday, I will get in touch with you, and I will work over the weekend to put a plan together and to see how you and I can get in touch. And I will reach out to you by Monday to make sure that we connect, either on the phone or Skype or however you wish. You and I will go everything, we'll go through it. We'll go through it one-on-one. It'll be fantastic. And if you are a good fit for the Bestseller Builders program, I will be suggesting that perhaps you consider taking a look at the Bestseller Builders program. Again, it is $5,000 a month. It is not inexpensive, but the return, that includes everything. It includes all the ads that I have to run for you. It includes the videos we're going to create. It includes building or rebuilding your website. It includes everything. In many cases, it includes redoing a cover. I mean, we take everything on. Please go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply. and tell me a little bit about your book. Because as I said, I will review your book tonight. I will take care of it. I will get a hold of you by the end of the week. I will create a plan for you by Monday, and you and I will get in touch and we will talk. And once you've decided what you want to do, and if you decide that you want to join us, and if we actually offer you a spot, you then have 6 months where we're going to do everything for you. And then you will finally start getting the return on the investment that maybe you thought you were going to get when you got started. Whether or not Bestseller Builders is a good fit for you, applying is a good idea. It truly is. You don't want to give up the opportunity to get a hold of us and to see what we might be able to do for you, both now or in the future. Please go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply. Yes, I know it's expensive. I know the program. I'm not going to lie to you. A $5,000 a month program for 6 months. Yikes. We do have a payment plan. There's things that we can do. But what I mainly want to do is get to know you and get to know your book. Those of you who have reached out to me before, people like Rich and these guys, you know that I try to help in every way I can. And I would love to do that for you. Please go and send me the information. I have absolutely loved spending this time with you, and I've loved going through the session. So for those of you who are still on the line, let me ask you, are you willing to put a plan together for 2020? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Okay, good. You're going to put a plan together. You're going to sit down and you're going to map this out. And you're not just going to wait for things to come to you, right? Great. And for those of you who are interested, you are going to go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply so that you and I can get to know each other and we can at least get on the phone and chat for a few minutes. Those of you who know me know I'm not a hard sell girl. I just want an opportunity to see if I can help. So with that, I will bid you a warm, fond good night. Oh, Mike, I'm thrilled. I am thrilled. And Joel, that's wonderful too. Bird, you and I need to talk. And Mary, if you're still listening, I want to talk to all you guys. So please just go to bestsellerbuilders.com/apply and give me your contact information, answer the questions, and we'll be in touch by the end of the week. Have a wonderful evening, folks, and I will see you very, very soon at bestsellerbuilders.com.